Alright everyone, there was a notorious now Corn Pops ad on some Corn Pops that were released, and it depicted a picture of a bunch of Corn Pops, I guess in a mall or some shit, doing Corn Pop things, which means, you know, they're standing for humans. Now, oddly enough, if you think about this, you know, in a more reasonable way, people appear to be conflating Corn Pops with human beings and saying, well, the regular light-colored, yellow-ish corn-colored Corn Pop, that must be a stand-in for white people. Now, I'm not sure why they don't assume that that's like, you know, why couldn't it be Asian people? Why couldn't it be a Hispanic or something? You're the one that's assuming, like, the Caucasian Corn Pop bullshit. And this is Craptivism, by the way, because what happened is that some Twitter craptivist saw the cover, slapped it on there. Oh, Kellogg, your cover is racist because look, and what it was, the concern is that there's one Corn Pop that, in my opinion, it appears that the fact that he's the only Corn Pop wearing a hat means he's shaded, and therefore a slightly darker color because there's not, like, I guess, fluorescent light shining upon his Corn Pop flesh. But nobody wanted to talk about that. It also almost looks like the image was, like, flawed and doubled, so maybe it got shaded twice or something. Just putting that out there, it looks like it might have been a problem with their printing process. But, this character was apparently, I guess, the Corn Pop janitor, and was half a shade darker than the other Corn Pops. Racism! This must be a statement about Mexicans or black people or something. Now, this is the most... Look, you've got a world right now. Can we be serious for a moment? You've got a world where hundreds of thousands of people die every year from warfare, millions from militant conflict, tens of millions from various preventable diseases. You've got epidemics all over the world. You've got the general breakdown of the world economy looming, and probably a behavioral sink. We've got some really, really friggin' bad problems right now, and you are fundamentally worried. Your biggest worry of the day was, is or is not the Corn Pops box cover racist? That's Craptivism. It's peak moral panic. It's peak social panic. It's the result of a collective insanity that has begun to strike at the heart of Western culture, because apparently we don't have enough to be worried about. People aren't worried enough. There's no Soviet Union anymore to bail us out. So we can't come together and say, yeah, but these other minor issues are kind of unimportant. Look, we might get nuked tomorrow. Fuck it. And so some people go crazy and they just, like, they go into the party lifestyle. They're like, hey, we're going to die anyway. Other people are like, well, we must pray to Jesus because we're going to die anyway. It doesn't really matter, but they're not so fixated on those little meaningless things like the old trope. This was even back in the 90s. The old trope was that primarily people who are nitpicky and concerned about those sorts of things, either if they're children, it's being a kid, like being immature. If they're any older than that, it's because they're a pearl-clutching moralist piece of crap who doesn't really fit in. They're the gossipy neighbor. They're the temperance housewife. They're the old chiding church lady. They're funny because of this. They're something to be laughed at and satirized. We've gotten to the point, though, where now people who should know better, people, you know, on the younger side of my generation, a lot of these people, they're barely in their young, early or mid-20s. They get onto social media, and they will look for anything that could possibly offend them because it gives their meaningless life meaning. We've become a meaningless Western civilization, I think. I think that's the problem. We don't have anything to give us meaning. Before it was, we must struggle, we must prevail against this enemy. Where's the enemy right now? North Korea is not powerful enough to really be a stand-in enemy. We need more enemies or something, I think. The Western world needs a new boogeyman, desperately, before we cripple ourselves. What do we need? Do we need space aliens to start orbiting Earth and threatening to embargo our planet because of some obscure galactic law we broke? Do we need something like that before we can get over all this bullshit? Apparently we do, because now I'm hearing that a Corn Pop's cover was racist because the janitor Corn Pop, I guess, may or may not have depicted somebody who was not a Caucasian Corn Pop. Does this make sense to you? It makes me nervous to think about how bad things will get before they start getting better. It honestly does. It almost makes me hope that there's some major natural disaster so that people can pull together and for at least some time forget about all this nonsense. Like, we need a behavioral reset of sorts. We need something bad to happen somewhere in the world to pull people together enough so that they can re-solidify, because they're coming all sorts of loose at the moment. This is the result of insanity. It's the result of a severe illness of the brain that some people apparently have, either physically within their own brain or collectively like a behavioral problem. It should be corrected. We should be trying to correct their behavioral issues. And these same people say, well, down with like the patriarchal establishment or something. You represent the establishment. You are the establishment. You're the moralist. You're the chiding church wife. You are the face of everything that every counterculture has ever fought against. You don't seem to realize that. You get people on the far right, they're like worshiping Hitler. They're more countercultural than you. Doesn't that concern or worry you slightly? I think it should be something you consider slightly worrisome. Nobody wants to talk about it, though. They'd rather shut up. They'd rather censor one another than actually talk about these things. They'd rather have silence. What a wonderful world it'll be when they succeed. Now, thankfully, I don't think they will. Should they, though, woe is us. We're going to hit another, certainly a cultural dark age. I'll start burning books and burning men again. Now, a Corn Pops ad cannot be racist. It doesn't depict human beings. It depicts Corn Pops with arms and legs and I guess eyes or sunglasses or something. It's what it depicts. You know, it almost looks like they're being roasted, like by a big light. Maybe it's an allusion to like the Corn Pop making process. And the janitor Corn Pop has like the sun hat on, so he doesn't need the glasses. I think that's why he's the only one with like eyes too. Have you ever thought of that? That's the reason why he's a darker shade? Because he's shielding himself from the light with his big ass hat. Now, if it were a sombrero and he were carting around a bunch of tacos, yeah, you might have a legitimate grievance. Like, well, this is a little bit stereotypical, isn't it? It's not like that. It's just a Corn Pop in a hat. It's not a human. It's not a human being. I know it's hard for you to tell the difference. Look, when you get into the Tumblr gender thing so that you think, well, yeah, it's okay to say that you're otherkin, you can be a tiger in a human body. Or, okay, maybe you have a difficulty recognizing what is or is not a human being, like a Homo sapiens. All right, maybe so. I'll take that into consideration. But it's just a Corn Pop. Like, you gotta live in reality at some point. You gotta rejoin those of us that are still sane at some point. Otherwise, you're gonna go off into la-la land. You're probably gonna hurt yourself or others. You know, some of them do. They join, like, Black Bloc or something, so. Yeah, they're targeting everything now. Everything is racist. When a corporation the size of Kellogg's can be gulled into removing a Corn Pop box cover because some random idiot on Twitter thinks that it's racist and a bunch of other easily offended people assume that they're correct because, oh, well, it's 2 shades darker or some bullshit like that. Yeah, we got a problem as a culture. All we need to do, why is it that we get so offended at something that some staffer may have been having a joke? It could have been a printing problem. It could have been that this is just the Corn Pop with a hat and he's kind of shading his body. Any of those things could be possible. It doesn't really matter. Why have we gotten to the point where that is more offensive than the pro-censorship, book-burning, haranguing church lady behavior that we see from some of these easily offended bullshit artists, the craptivists of society, the soccer moms, the pearl clutchers, whatever you want to call them? Why is it that we're not getting more mad at them? Look, they're blatantly going against the very spirit of the concept of the First Amendment. I don't care about, oh, well, it's okay because it's the privatization of the abuse of other people's right to speak. The government's not punching Nazis. It's okay if private individuals punch Nazis, though. Well, no, it's not. You're being wrong. You're also being foolish. Look, 10, 20 years from now, when this dark age, I think, is probably fully over, a lot of people are going to look back and look at you as the real turds of this generation. They're going to look back at you and laugh so hard. Yeah, and you'll be middle-aged at that point, so, you know, be a little funny anyway. Because you're covered in tattoos. They're all going to be, like, prolapsed and fucked up. You're going to have 10 STDs. They'll look back at footage of you. Because remember, a lot of people like to archive everything now, so, your crazy-ass YouTube videos will still be there. You'll be the one in the wrong. You'll be the one sitting there calling to ban everything. This is racist, that's sexist, everyone's homophobic. Oh, Lord be up in the sky, clutching your pearls and chiding people and gossiping and being a ne'er-do-well of sorts. you're going to be that old huddling person who sits on the corner and, you know, spreads rumors about their neighbors. It's going to be funny to see people's reaction, like the next generation, when they're like, you know, this age, when they're like 25, 30, something like that. It's going to be funny to see their reactions to your weird shit. Because you see, like, you've seen those episodes there, like, kids react to, elders react to, dogs react to, whatever. Maybe 20 years from now, they'll have a nearing middle-aged Generation Z reacts to formerly young millennials. Oh, it's going to be funny. The reactions, I'm going to sit there and laugh. Because I guess that it makes me once again the outsider that I don't want to call everyone I disagree with Hitler. The fact that I don't want to consider everybody who disagrees with me evil scum undeserving of basic civil rights makes me an outsider in my own generation. Yeah, to Generation Z and also like the older, like the Gen X boomers, don't be like the millennials. Don't bend down before them and accept their pausing anymore. Because there are, I think, an increasing number of millennials that are returning to sanity. It's going to take some time, so you got to help us. We can't do it alone. We're outnumbered in our own generation. Like, who would have thought the millennials with, like, the easy internet access would become the pro-censorship, moral crusade generation of everything offends me? We just want to whine about everything. Maybe it's because ever since 9/11, we haven't had a big enough foe to fight. Like, that's the last time we actually had solidification. Since then, almost now 20 years later, we haven't really had that. I think maybe that's become the problem. We just don't have a good enemy. Can the Russians, like, maybe the Democrats are right when they say, oh, it's a Russian conspiracy. Okay, let's just fabricate it all and then get a real feud going and go back to the Cold War. Because honestly, we might have greater cultural stability if we do. Honestly, I'm not even, honest to God, I'm not even joking. Honest to God. Which God, of course, you may ask. It's for a different video. But really, corn pops are not racist. They're not human. They're in fact, they're a breakfast cereal. I know Kellogg's comes out and says, okay, we'll pull it. Yeah, it's racially insensitive. You should have stood your ground and said, this has nothing to do with race. They are pieces of corn cereal. They're not humans. Get the fuck over yourself and leave us alone. Then you should have blocked their account. Let them whine for a few days. And they'll come out and they'll march around on the Kellogg campus or something. Then they'll go away. They'll lose interest. And nobody will care. By the way, your sales will probably decrease from this because a lot of people who are tired of this bullshit, they're going to stop buying your products for a while until they too forget. Maybe that's what they realized. That's about all. Peace out.